anything above that, yeah, I think that is a surprise.
The problem for them is, we're talking about the overachievers. Gasly's had a really good run this afternoon so far, but maybe McLaren are the overachievers. Daniel Ricciardo's been flying. They look good on track. I mean, you were hypothesising that Lando and McLaren are so far advanced in their test programme that they're onto the smaller details
Who
now.
knows? Yeah, who knows?
And they look fast as well with the Mercedes engine, so they've had a good test so far. Alpine look really strong. They've been reliable so far. Fernando, 84 laps today. Esteban Ocon in the car yesterday racked up a load of laps. They look pretty quick out there as well. They've had very few issues in terms of driver issues, car issues. It's all looked good. And these are the guys they're going to be fighting with, AlphaTauri. So the midfield generally look quite strong. Aston Martin have got to show something, and Ferrari, in my opinion, don't look strong so far. And that's going to be where AlphaTauri are going to try and sneak into, maybe.
The one difference and the one positive, I suppose, if you're Ferrari, is that both Ferrari's drivers and the Alfa Romeo drivers, because obviously the Haas drivers have got nothing to compare it to, all state that the power unit is a step forward on last year's. I mean, it couldn't be much of a step back, but it is, they say, a marked improvement. So that at least is one positive they can take out of this, even if, as we've been saying, the car itself doesn't look that together yet.
That's the bare minimum, isn't it, for the weakest power unit in F1 in 2020, is that they can make a step forward. Is the amount of step forward.
Yes. Yeah. What's the qualifier
step, you know,
of that?
Yeah, exactly. Everyone might have made a step forward in varying degrees, but it's just, can they get themselves back into a more competitive level? Because Ferrari struggled last year, but their customer teams also struggled badly, Haas and Alfa Romeo as well.
And all the while, Lewis Hamilton P10, Valtteri Bottas P11. And if we're at this position tomorrow and saying the same thing, then I really think we do have to start questioning who are the favourites going into the first weekend.
Your concern klaxon at that stage.
Honk.
So thanks to Jolyon Palmer, to Will Buxton.
This is a very lo-fi ending, isn't it?
Shall I hype it up?
No, it's fine.
We thank. It was very test match.
I like it. It's very nice. Let's keep it.
We thank Jolyon Palmer for his excellent insight. We thank the ever-excited Will Buxton. I've been Alex Jakes, and let's send it across the compound now to David Croft.
I was really enjoying myself and going to have a little bit of a sleep, actually, boys. I don't know about that. Alex Jakes, that was the best handover of the testing session so far. Gentlemen, well done. Sterling effort for the last 2 hours. Thank you very much indeed. You've kept us all informed and amused. I'm going to have that mug of tea and put your feet up for a while. Karun Chandok and Martin Brundle alongside me in the commentary box here. What about you? I've just been for a COVID test, which took about an hour because the one by the paddock was shut, so I had to walk all the way to car park 8. Martin Brundle, I don't know where you've been for the past hour or so. Karun, I'm not quite sure where you've been, but I hope it was a damn sight more pleasant than having a swab put up your nose.
Well, I went for my test, and you should have come with me when I told you to earlier, when I didn't have to walk an hour.
Had I known that the nearest facility was going to shut at 3 o'clock, I probably would have done.
Yeah.
Was it like a diner rod visit, like we sometimes get in near Heathrow?
Yes, it was lengthy.
Double swab, double everything.
Both of my nostrils feel fine.
They vary massively, don't they, these PCR tests?
But do you know what?
They don't get any easier.
I'd rather have them, and I'd rather we kept on doing what we do, and we kept safe as well.
Well, I've been on track while you were doing that. I've been out on track, and yeah, it's pretty blowy out there, and challenging to say the least. So
a lot cooler as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's cooling down out there, but they're pounding round. Generally, the reliability's been excellent, hasn't it? I mean, what have we seen? The Ferrari broke down yesterday. How many cars have we actually seen break down on the racetrack and have to be recovered? Just the Ferrari.
Just the Ferrari. We've seen a few spins, we see we're going off.
We've seen had the little spin, didn't he, earlier? But that's about it, isn't it?
We've had 3 in the garage, obviously, haven't we? The two gearbox issues, and then the hydraulics on the Haas.
Schumacher yesterday.
Yeah. What have I been in, Crofty? I watched a 20-minute thing on YouTube about Paddy Lowe and synthetic fuels, trying to educate myself on a word he calls, petrosynthesis, about you know, these eco-friendly fuels that might be making its way towards Formula One in the future.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the glamour of Formula One explained in a nutshell there. Karun Chandler, of all the things you could watch on YouTube, synthetic fuels.
Well, I'd like to
the
learn.
future.
I'd like to learn about it. You know,
Yeah,
I think you know
absolutely.
everyone's talking about the new fuels and there's a big meeting next week. In fact, isn't there, of the fuel manufacturers? And it's a topic I don't know very much about, and I thought I should try and educate myself.
That's the biggest challenge for Formula One going forward, isn't it? To stay relevant.
Yeah.
To the world of motoring, and obviously to the world of motorsport.
So what are we going to use then? What do you think the sport needs? Does it need to go to more electric power, more hybrid power, to synthetic fuels fully? Can it survive? Just it's Formula One. We could run on an unleaded fuel for the rest of our eternities. What do we need to do?
We're going to 10%, aren't we? Eco fuel, ethanol, and then, as you can get at the pumps, can't you, already? And as well, but obviously these engines are over 50% thermally efficient anyway, so they're pretty spectacular in that respect. You won't get the density of energy for a Formula One endurance race like we have with just battery power. So funny enough, I did ask Ross some of these questions the other day, and he felt it would be sort of end up half battery, half internal combustion engine in terms of the power.
A hybrid.
Yeah.
Even.
Yes. Well, a hybrid, but you know, there's no way we'll go fully electric, is there, for a 300-kilometre race?
That's what Formula E does, and does very well. Talking of fuel, maybe using up a little bit because he's put his foot flat to the floor for the first half of this lap. Antonio Giovinazzi, as you can see, setting a purple first sector on the C4 tyre. Is this Alfa Romeo making a bid for the top of the timing charts here?
The temperature is noticeably cooler. Just walking back from the paddock just now, Crofty, the temperature is definitely cooler. Giovinazzi there half a second up. The wind is still reasonably strong, but I imagine the track conditions are now, if you're someone like I've seen Lando Norris has gone even quicker than Giovinazzi in Sector 1. If you're someone who's starting to unlock some performance runs, we're definitely the happy hour. I mean, remind me, what time would quali be when we come here for the race weekend? It's about
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're coming up to that time now where the track's going to be nice and tasty. 31.5, still a second down, or nearly a second down what we saw from Max yesterday, despite the sandstorm, wasn't it?
Yeah, but a 1:33.533 is about 7/10 quicker than the fastest time for this morning from Daniel Ricciardo, albeit on those softer compound tyres, which Lando Norris is now using as well. McLaren, in out, in out. It's been like a testing karaoke session for them for most of today, but now they've decided it's time for a few qualifying simulations, and Alfa's stint at the top did not last long, and by 0.3 of a second, Lando Norris goes fastest overall. It looked like McLaren were doing aero work and just some constant tests, or trying to back-to-back a few parts as well this afternoon, but for about 14 laps, they didn't set a time at all. Now they have, though, Martin. They made it count.
Yeah, Lando was cranking loads of steering angle in, wasn't he? Presumably they're measuring something. It wasn't going that fast, but maybe aerodynamically or maybe dynamically. You're right, they were just literally trying things out, but they've let him go now, giving him some freedom, and gone P1, as you say.
Looks like a new set of tyres here on the Mercedes. They're quite shiny on the outlap when we saw him. So
yes, they are a brand new set of the C2 tyres. Good spot, Karun.
well, he's quite wide on the way out, and then I think he had so much steering lock when he went for the throttle, it snapped, didn't he?
Yeah, it really went for the apex, didn't it? But once again, the hard tyre not really yielding a whole lot of traction, is it? Particularly on the Merc.
And I think the temperature dropping is probably not going to help that, is it? As we go into the evening, the harder tyre starts to go away from that. It's a tricky angle from this to really judge what the car's doing. You know, it's spectacular to see the bumps in the road, and you can see him riding those curves and stuff, but it's sometimes harder to understand just in terms of the car balance without seeing the driver's hands, what it's doing. Coming up into 11, gets in that apex there, uses all the road. Again, looks like a bit of a wobble on the way out as he tried to pick the throttle up. Listen in. He's flat through 12, but 1.3 seconds down, so I suspect still carrying a fat load of fuel as well as obviously the harder tyres.
They crank through the gears pretty quickly, don't they? I mean, 15,000 RPM is the limit, which is quite low for a Formula 1 engine. But if you look at the dashboard on your road car, you realise 15,000 is very high. But they don't go anywhere near 15,000 before the shift, do they? Because they're just running out of torque up there. So I think it's around 12 that they. A
little bit more, I think, but yeah, they're certainly not up in the.
Depends which ratio you're going to and from, doesn't it? But it is. You don't go up to the. You don't hear them hitting the rev limiter anymore just before the shift.
So this was turn 10. It was pretty neat and tidy through there. I think 11 he seemed to have a little bit of a wobble, but coming up at the last corner, you were watching down at the last corner earlier today, Martin, weren't you?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like little mini whirlwinds coming through down there. Very strange. Down. I was watching a bunch of leaves going to my right, and then they turn around and come back the other way up the track.
Do you think it's because you got those? It's fully exposed, and you get those grandstands to the left, don't you? And then there's like a hill for the 4x4 course or something.
Yeah.
To the right, it's almost like a valley in the middle where the track goes.
Bit of a wind tunnel created now.
Yeah, something was getting a lot of little eddies going up and down.
And then there's Ted's igloos on the outside of the corner as well.
It's all made of real ice. And if they were, they wouldn't last long, even if it is cooling down a bit. 58 gear changes a lap here, by the way. I was saying going up and down the gears fairly rapidly. So over the course of 3.36 miles, 58 gear changes roundabout.
Remember, we both, Corinne and I both driven the very later hybrid Mercedes. And I remember getting out and they were asking me questions about the car. This and that, was pouring rain anyway. And they said, and gearbox. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I couldn't remember using the gearbox. It was so good, it never made it onto my radar. It just shifted gear and off you go, didn't you? And then half a lap in, you forget about it.
You'd only report if something went wrong, wouldn't you? Because. And also, it's so seamless. You know, in the past, when you went up a gear, you'd have that torque demand and the car would brake traction and all that would happen. You didn't even feel the gear shift. It's just blah, blah, blah. It just keeps going. You don't feel this change in torque almost because of the way the seamless shift works these days. It is incredible technology.
Is there a timing on the shift? Is it 1 millisecond or whatever? Is it just completely seamless? It is.
Well, I mean, there will be time when it will take a certain amount of time to go from one gear to the next, for sure. But it is much, 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 much shorter than anything
you're ever going to notice.
Than you're ever going to notice.
Sergio Perez out of the car, and followed by a camera wherever he goes.
Do you think Christian's forgotten his team kit bag?
No, this is part of his team kit, as he mentioned. Today we were stood having a socially distanced chat in the paddock, and he said, "No, this is Alpha Tauri fashion." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Where can you buy that then?" He said, "I've absolutely no idea." And then he was prompted that actually I think they have got an Alpha Tauri shop soon to be open
in the UK.
In the UK, in Knightsbridge.
All right, I've been to the one in Milan. So
have you?
Yeah, there is one in Milan.
Pants, socks.
I didn't buy anything. I just went and had a look around and then left.
It's not my colour. I want something a little more bright and vibrant. No, Knightsbridge, apparently. I don't think I'm plugging this for any reason other than you two can look like Christian Horner. As I said, something must be right with the world if we've got the jumper over the shoulders and, we're on a casual dress down day. And he said, yes, things are going pretty swimmingly at the moment.
Lots of Flovis on the rear wing of that Mercedes, isn't there?
Yeah, we saw the mechanic, didn't we, with a pot in his hand just before Valtteri came out. There he is.
It's paraffin-based, is it not? I guess there's all sorts of different ones, but it's it's not a particularly pleasant product, but it's very effective. I mean, the best Glovis ever was the Turkish Grand Prix, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When the cars were so muddy at the end.